Can a restored painting become too new? Imagine seeing a painting that is 500 years old. You expect dark colors, a yellowed surface, cracks, shadows created by centuries of dust and age. But then the painting is cleaned, and suddenly the dark surface disappears. Bright blues appear, powerful reds return, skin becomes lighter. The entire painting looks almost new, and people begin to ask a disturbing question. Is this what the artist really painted? Or has restoration changed the masterpiece into something the artist never intended us to see? Today, we often think of restoration as something simple. A damaged painting is repaired. A dirty painting is cleaned. A faded painting is brought back to life. But every restoration carries a risk. Sometimes trying to save a painting can change the way the world sees it forever. Because old paintings do not age alone. Over centuries, varnish turns yellow. Smoke from candles and fireplaces settles onto the surface. Dust enters tiny cracks. Earlier restorers add new layers. Some cover damaged areas with paint. Others apply thick varnish to protect the surface. Little by little, a painting can become hidden beneath its own history. Then comes the moment of decision. Should all of those layers be removed? Or have they become part of the painting's story? This question became famous during the restoration of Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel ceiling. For centuries, the magnificent frescoes appeared dark and muted. Many people believed that Michelangelo had deliberately created a serious and shadowed world. Then, after years of scientific study and conservation, restorers began removing centuries of accumulated dirt and other materials. What appeared beneath shocked the world. The colors were brilliant. Pink robes, vivid blues, powerful greens, rich oranges. The ceiling suddenly looked completely different. To some people, it was a revelation. They believed the restoration had allowed Michelangelo's true colors to return. But others were uncomfortable. They asked whether too much had been removed. Had the cleaning erased subtle details? Had layers been taken away that Michelangelo himself may have intended? The debate became intense, and it revealed a difficult truth. Even experts can disagree about what a painting originally looked like. We cannot travel back in time and ask the artist. We have to study clues, pigments, brushstrokes, chemical changes, old photographs, historical documents, tiny samples examined under microscopes. But even with all this evidence, restoration still involves judgment. And judgment can change history. The question becomes even more complicated when we think about the beauty of age. There is a word often used in art conservation: patina. Patina describes some of the changes that naturally happen as materials grow old. The surface changes. Colors may become softer. Metal may darken. Wood may develop a deep richness. Some people believe these changes should be respected. After all, age is part of an object's history. A 500-year-old masterpiece does not have to look as if it was painted yesterday. Others argue that dirt, pollution, and yellowed varnish are not history. They are simply things covering the artist's work. If we know they were not meant to be there, why should we leave them? There is no answer that satisfies everyone. One of the most closely watched restoration projects involved Leonardo da Vinci's painting the Virgin and Child with Saint Anne at the Louvre. The painting had darkened dramatically over time. Restoration promised to reveal details that had been difficult to see. But the project became controversial. Some experts involved in the conservation committee resigned during the debate, expressing concerns about how far the cleaning should go. That is what makes restoration so difficult. The danger is not only doing too little. The danger can also be doing too much. Imagine carefully cleaning an old photograph. You remove stains. Then you remove more. And more. Until suddenly, you have erased something that was actually part of the original image. You cannot simply put it back. With art, some decisions are irreversible. That is why modern conservation often follows an important principle. Do as little as necessary. And whenever possible, use materials and methods that future conservators can remove or study. In other words, today's conservator should not trap tomorrow's conservator. What seems like the best method today may be considered a mistake 50 years from now. History has already taught us this lesson. In the past, restorers sometimes completely repainted damaged sections. They wanted viewers to see a perfect image. But years later, Scientists discovered that some of these additions covered original brushwork. What one generation believed was preservation, another generation had to carefully undo. This is why modern museums document restoration in extraordinary detail. Before treatment, they photograph the artwork. During treatment, they record every major decision. They may use X-rays, infrared imaging, ultraviolet light, microscopes, chemical analysis. The painting is studied before anyone makes a major change. Because restoration is not simply about making something beautiful. It is about understanding what is there. But there is another problem. We, the modern viewers, may not even know what the artist originally wanted us to see. The colors that seem shocking to us today may have been completely normal to people living centuries ago. A dark painting may not have been intended to look dark. A bright painting may surprise us only because we became familiar with its aged appearance. Perhaps we fall in love with the version created by time. And when restoration removes that familiar darkness, we feel that something has been taken away, even if what remains is closer to the artist's original work. So can a restored painting become too new? Perhaps the answer is yes. If restoration makes us forget that the painting has lived through centuries, if every crack is filled, every trace of age is hidden, every imperfection disappears, then we may no longer be looking at history. We may be looking at our modern idea of what history should look like. But perhaps the answer is also no. Perhaps revealing original colors can help us see an artist in a completely new way. Maybe the goal is not to make a painting old or new. Maybe the goal is to understand it honestly, to remove what clearly threatens it, to preserve what belongs to it, and to recognize that not every mark of time is an enemy. The next time you stand before a brilliantly restored masterpiece, look carefully. Ask yourself what you are seeing: the artist's original vision, the work of centuries, or the decisions of the people who cared for it long after the artist was gone. Perhaps the painting on the wall contains all three. And that may be the greatest mystery of restoration. Sometimes bringing art back to life means deciding exactly how much of its past we are willing to let remain.